wanted to share Rekha's voice and what she's talking about. Specifically today in the Register, we're talking some politics.
We are talking politics. I think from here on out, for the next month or so, that's what we're going to be primarily.
There's something going on,
something's coming up at the end of this month, and the beginning of next month. But anyway.
So what's your voice about today?
So
with
my
your
voice
article?
today, you could make a full-time job if you commented every time on something that Donald Trump has said that is offensive, absurd, outrageous, illogical, and untrue.
I think part of that is by design.
Yeah,
right. Like, aren't we encouraging it or facilitating it by even still talking about it?
Well, and that's the point that I was going to make, is that I don't generally respond to a lot of what he says because I think it's so ridiculous. And yes, he gets this knee-jerk response from people who deem themselves not politically correct and speaking the truth and all that unvarnished stuff. But in this case, I think he just has to be called out on this one. He is accusing Hillary Clinton of sexism. This is a man.
Her, not Bill Clinton.
Not Bill Clinton, and that's exactly the point.
Okay.
He's accusing her of sexism because of what her husband did with women in terms of philandropy. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Head scratch. What'd you say?
He's putting the blame on her for something her husband did.
Right, that she's basically an enabler because he had affairs. He cheated on her, and he didn't spell this out, but basically that she didn't leave him is the implication.
Wow. What did he say?
So he said, well, you see, this happened after he said a couple of things that were rather derogatory and degrading, and she accused him of sexism. So one of those things was that she had gotten schlonged.
On the election when she ran against
Right. He said, now,
Obama.
as we all know, schlong is a Yiddish word for penis. Sorry, can I say that on the air?
Oh,
Actually,
yeah. It's okay. It's an anatomical term.
Okay, it's an anatomical term. Exactly. He said that she got schlonged by Barack Obama in the 2008 election. What does he mean by that? Let's parse those words, okay? Either he means that she was raped because it was a nasty thing that happened to her, not a pleasurable thing that happened to her in the context he's talking about it, or he's basically saying males have this all-powerful organ and she doesn't have one, therefore, she was defeated. So she was outgunned by a guy. Either way, it's rather sexist, and she accused him of sexism for it, and he comes back and says, and anytime you accuse Donald Trump of anything, he has to attack, because that's the way he responds, right?
Well,
so his attack was to say, well, she's the sexist one because her husband has been an abuser of women. And he launches into this tirade about how now Bill Clinton is on the campaign trail for her. He's been out campaigning in New Hampshire. He'll probably come here.
He's here this weekend.
Yep.
He's here this weekend.
Eastern Iowa.
And so he's fair game. And fine, make Bill Clinton fair game if you want to. I will not subscribe to the idea that he has been an abuser of women. He certainly took advantage of the fact that he had a young intern working in the White House, Monica Lewinsky. But, there have not been any charges made that he was sexually abusive or a predator. I mean, there have been way back, decades ago, there were women who said things about him, but none of that has ever been proven in court. He's not been charged criminally. So go ahead. So I think
but what so he's accusing Hillary Clinton though of sexism. What exactly did he say? Because I'm having trouble wrapping my head around this leap.
So he said because look at her husband. Look at her. Donald Trump never spells anything out.
Yeah.
He makes these innuendos. He throws little remarks here and there. But this is what he says, that she is not a good role model for women because of her husband, because she's with a man who is a sexual abuser. And other men have other male candidates, and even a female candidate who are running on the GOP side, have sided with him. So Carly Fiorina, who he accused of having a terrible face, and who cried sexism after he said that, is now defending him on the Hillary Clinton remarks and saying, well,
do you think that they're just threatened? Because Bill Clinton's a big name. He's still considered one of the most popular living presidents.
He is the most popular.
So don't you think they just see him coming out and supporting her? How can we take him down the quickest way possible? Let Trump.
But the thing is, they're not even trying to take. Yes, they're absolutely threatened. Of course, he is one of the most popular political figures still. But the fact is, let's not lie about it. Let's be honest about what we're talking about. Attack Clinton. Don't attack Bill Clinton. Don't attack Hillary Clinton for sexism.
But he's representing her on the campaign trail.
He's representing her on the campaign trail. Exactly. But there is a legitimate question, and I asked it back in the 1990s after the Monica Lewinsky affair, as to why do women who have been publicly shamed and humiliated by cheating husbands stay with their husbands? And this is something that, you know, she addressed in a Talk magazine article back in '99, I think, when she was running for the Senate. And she said, you know, that she had thought about it in many different ways and does it, and yes, it incredibly hurt her and was awful, but also, you know, does that negate everything he's done as a husband and father and so on? So, I mean, I don't know that it's for us to sit and judge somebody's marriage from the outside, because you never know the details of a person's marriage and what, you know, the give and take is about these kinds of things. So,
what this goes to is we talked yesterday about good people not running for office. This shows that everything is now on the table, and you can even go after the wife for the husband's improprieties.
Right.
And to your point, was it on purpose? It came out this morning that his new commercial came out. It was aired 40 times in its completeness, in entirety, during cable news yesterday, which would have cost $330,000. Inflammatory statements in the commercial. Is it by design?
About
He's
Muslims,
definitely
yeah,
getting free media.
well, and the other
I
thing
don't
is,
at all mean to defend him, but I think that he doesn't believe at least a third of the stuff he says. I think it's
I agree. He says it well. And actually, here's
Cause a
evidence
reaction.
of that. After the Lewinsky thing happened, he publicly said on television, you know, this is much ado about nothing, basically, that, you know, they're going after him and trying to impeach him for what? It's nothing. It doesn't add up to anything. He has given money to Hillary Clinton's campaign. He invited them to his wedding. He sung the praises of Bill Clinton. And on the other side, look at how sexist Donald Trump himself is. He calls women he doesn't like a pig and a slob. He says, look at that face about Carly Fiorina. He says about Megyn Kelly, she had blood coming out of her, whatever. He says about Hillary Clinton, it's disgusting that she went to the bathroom. I mean, what kind
Just
of
because I asked him about this on my program, I'll say in the second part, fine, but the first part of him donating the Clintons, what he says is that he was just being a good businessman and he was supporting all sides.
And that in itself says volumes. What he's basically telling the country is he is an opportunist who will do anything for his own business interests. He doesn't put the country's needs ahead. He doesn't put, you know, values or beliefs ahead of anything. It's whatever can get him. You know, they came to his wedding because he made a donation, so isn't that great for him?
But I would argue, and again,
No,
putting that
do.
aside, that you could look at the Clintons and say the same thing. I mean,
Sure.
I think she didn't leave him because she was thinking ahead in time, and well, if I ever want to run for a higher office, you know, having him with me would be helpful. I mean,
Certainly,
I gotta
absolutely.
Say,
I'm not saying people don't. I'm not saying people don't think that way, or, you know, or calculate that way in their own private lives. But when you actually come right out and say, "This is why I gave money. This is why I said good things about him and defended him. It's because, you know, I had business interests and I wanted him to vote the way I mean, that's just corrupt. You know, that's really that's what we all worry about with money.
I think the big shrug is that it's just. It's the way business is now. It's the way politics are right now. And certainly your statement about why she stayed with him are your opinion. She could have stayed with him because she loves him, and that's what you do in a marriage.
Absolutely.
So,
but she also could have stayed. I mean, you're right, to your point, absolutely. But the fact is, you know, this is how money corrupts in politics. This is something we are talking about all the time with the Citizens United decision and so on. And he's actually illustrating it. He's saying, well, I gave them money, and I praised them because they would vote in ways that were good for my business interests.
Well, that's a separate thing. Princeton study says we live in an oligarchy right now, not a democracy. So I think his illustration of it is very valuable to show how destructive Citizens United has been to our democracy.
This could be, I mean, and you guys know more about this than I do, but certainly in my lifetime, the most contentious presidential election that we've ever had. I mean, you're going to have either Donald Trump, who's an inflammatory figure, or maybe Ted Cruz, who's evangelical, and on the other side, you're going to have Hillary Clinton, probably. Although frankly, I'd love to see Barry Sanders there instead.
Oh, that would be.
And Hillary is disliked by millions of people. I mean, this is going to get.
Oh, it's going to be amazing.
You never would have
from
seen
a
this happen
journalist.
before. Like people aren't. Or people are saying things this presidential run that
We've
people
never had someone like Donald Trump run in modern electoral politics, and when you did have characters like him back in the late 1800s, etc., they were running, they never had the megaphone of media.
And command first place the way he has.
He sends a tweet, and there's articles, there's New York Times headlines about it. It's different.
Well,
Speaking
I mean,
of
the thing, yeah, and I guess I would just conclude by saying, as I did in the column, that if you want to know who's good for women, look at who supports the Violence Against Women Act, the reauthorization of that, who supports the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act, you know, who is all about defunding Planned Parenthood for political reasons. Those are the kinds of questions we should be asking candidates, not who stayed with a husband who had an affair.
And the head of Emily's List is coming to a campaign for Secretary Clinton this weekend as well.
There you go.
That's
Find
right.
all of this and Rekha's voice in today's Des Moines Register. Thank you, Rekha, for stopping by and seeing us today.
Thank
We'll be right back with more on Great Day.